everyone. I am Arlett Hartie, blogger and joy strategist from chasing-joy.com and your host for the Chasing Joy Show. Welcome to the show. The Chasing Joy Show is an extension of the Chasing Joy blog and brand where I encourage women to make happiness a priority before they find themselves unhappy and help them build a foundation for resilience, or what I like to call the bounce back factor. And the Chasing Joy Show is just an extension of that conversation, but with me, bring on interesting people, mostly women, who either have insightful tips to help us have happier lives or have an interesting perspective on life to help us think about chasing joy a little differently. So welcome to the show. And with that, I'm going to invite my guests for tonight, who are Shanarose Hartie and Ambria Hartie, to turn on their camera and microphones and join the show.
Hi.
Hi, ladies. Welcome to the Chasing Joy Show.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before I actually do a formal introduction of these two beautiful ladies, we are going to do our signature icebreaker, which is 2 truths and a lie. So I don't know which one of you wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to share with us 3 statements. 2 of them are going to be true and 1 is going to be the lie. And myself, along with our studio audience who is watching virtually in the Chasing Joy Facebook group, are going to try and guess the lie.
Okay. So 3 things about me. I traveled to Dominican Republic to do a missionary trip. Another thing is that I absolutely love raisins. They're so sweet and delicious. And the next thing is that I have a deep fear of thunderstorms to the point of tears, even though I'm 22.
Wow.
Hi.
Wait, don't do yours yet. Don't do yours. We're going to try and guess Shanarose's first.
Yeah.
So for those who are watching, who will be seeing this later on YouTube, we are live streaming the show to Facebook, and there are virtual studio audience. There's a few seconds lag between when we talk and when they hear it. So I'm just giving them a moment to think about Shanarose's statements, and I'm watching in the chat to see what the guesses are. So Chanel says that Dominican Republic is the lie. Anyone else want to have any guesses? Shane Hartie says he knows this, so he's not guessing or giving it away, which is nice. Don't give away the secrets if you know already. Anyone else want to make any guesses? By the way, Janice says you guys are twinning. Janice her guess is that you love raisins, that's the lie. Anyone else want to make a guess? I'll give it a few more seconds. My guess, I'm gonna guess the raisins as well, but don't tell us yet. Give our audience another second. Almita says number 2, and number 2 was the raisins, right? You said the first statement was that you did a mission trip to the Dominican Republic. The second statement was, I believe, that you love raisins. They're so sweet and delicious. And the third statement was that you're afraid of thunderstorms to the point of tears. All right, so tell us, which one is the lie?
The lie is the raisins. They're not sweet. They have a weird, crummy taste. I don't know who thought to take a grape and leave it in the sun, see it get old, and said that John look bussin', and decided to eat it. No.
I like raisins. They're good to me.
It's like it's old, and then oatmeal raisin cookies, it's already old, and you want to add more heat to it with bread. It's like,
gosh.
We don't
All
make no
right.
type of sense.
Okay, Ambria, your turn. Give us your 3 statements. 2 will be true and 1 is the lie.
Yes. So, hi. I once went to New York by myself and walked for New York Fashion Week. I am such a dog person. I love dogs. I think they're the cutest things in the world. And I wake up every day to go to the gym at 6 a.m.
Those are hard ones. Those are hard ones. All right, what do you guys think in our studio audience? So when you guys see me looking to the side, that's where I'm viewing our Facebook chat. Mm-hmm. Janice says she likes raisins covered with yogurt or in oatmeal. I've never had the yogurt covered raisins, but I like them in my oatmeal or in my Cheerios. So. All right. Almita says going to the gym at 6 a.m. is the lie. Let's see what other guesses come in. So let me repeat them back. The first statement was that you went to New York City by yourself and walked in New York Fashion Week. The second statement was you love dogs. You think they're just so cute. And the third one was you get up every day to go to the gym at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Let's see, do we have any other guesses? Janice says that you wake up at 6 a.m. to go to the gym. She wrote again, get a typo, so she wrote again, gym. So she really thinks gym. I'm going to say, Anya says number 1, that you went to New York and walked in Fashion Week is the lie. And I hope I'm saying your name properly, Anya. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing. I think the lie is the dogs. That you think dogs are so cute and cuddly. I'm going to guess that, but that's the lie. So let us know which one is the lie, Ambria.
The lie was number 2, the dog one. I'm a cat person. I'm not a fan of dogs. No tea, no shade, no hate. I promise you, like, everybody's equal. I love everybody equally. However, cats are more than equal to me. So I like cats more than dogs. That was the little lie.
Okay. I like both, but dogs are more work.
Yeah.
I'll probably get a dog when baby Joy Chaser is bigger, and when he's not as much work, then I can have a pet that is work. All right, so now that we know a little bit about these ladies, let me kind of formally introduce them and tell you why I invited them to be on the show. So Shanarose is a recent graduate from Community College of Philadelphia, where she studied arts and theater. She is currently a junior at Lincoln University, where she is studying to get an English major. She is part of the music ministry at the Cross Christian Center. And she also has a beauty brand that you can follow on Instagram, Slay by Shanarose, where her goal is to help you be a better you today than yesterday.
Period.
And Ambria Hartie is a published writer, model, and actress. She's also a real estate agent at Keller Williams, and she's a social media influencer with over 100,000 followers on TikTok. In addition to that, these lovely ladies are wonderful big cousins to baby Joy Chaser. They're my nieces. And I asked them to be on the show because obviously in their barely drinking age lives, they've already accomplished quite a bit. And I thought it would be interesting to hear their perspective on chasing joy and happiness, being young women just kind of stepping into adulthood. So welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you guys here. I'm very proud of you. When I put together your bios, I was like, wow, they're I'm correct in my assessment that they're awesome. In addition to just being biased as your aunt, you guys are owning that. So congratulations. So the first thing I kind of want to ask, and this is just going to be conversational, so I'm not going to direct the questions to either one of you, just like jump in. How do your peers, like people your age, talk about happiness and the idea of joy, if they do at all? I know when I was your age, my peers, we weren't really talking about it like that. Like we might say things like, "Oh, I want to be happier," but a lot of the conversations we have these days about fulfillment and self-care and all that weren't happening 20 years ago, at least not in my circles. So what is it like? What are those conversations like if they're taking place for you guys?
So I know that oftentimes with the when the topic of happiness would come up, it would often come up during a time of negativity. So like if something, for example, let's say my friends and I were studying for like a big exam or something, and we don't get this grade that we wanted, right? At that moment, we will come together and express our frustration, and then we will also be able to like talk about the positive moments. We're like, oh well, there have been better moments before, so I know I can do better next time. I noticed that oftentimes when there is topics of happiness, it's in the midst of like a hard situation, because when we are in a happy moment, we're trying to be present and enjoy it. And then sometimes we might take pictures or record or just sometimes talk about it even in the moment. But during a happy moment, we try to be present and enjoy it. And rather than talk about how happy we are, we decide to just be happy and just enjoy that blessing in that moment. And then sometimes when there's like a really, really hard, let's say someone has a death in the family, and sometimes we talk about how happy moments can come and they will come, but in the meantime, sometimes it's best for you to feel out your emotions and process it, so that when the happy moments come, you'll be able to better be present for those circumstances.
Okay. I'm sorry. So I feel as though my peers are the people I interact with online more so than just friends and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I do feel that our generation is heavily influenced with negative mental health nowadays, just considering the economy, things going on, being in a pandemic. It's been very hard for everybody. And I think as a result, a lot of young people my age have started to resort to just looking at the happiness in the smaller things. Like you can see a lot of people online, TikTok as a whole right now is crazy because people are glamorizing regular life. And it's beautiful because the things you see on Instagram where you have to go on vacation to be happy, people talk about, oh, my little brother, like he wants me to come play with him and stuff like that. And it's just really been pushed so much more than it has in the past for social media. So I think that in general, the happiness topic has been expanded into life as we live it more simply, instead of looking at things outside of us and trying to look at these huge extravagant events, especially considering people couldn't have party for a whole year. So right. It's been difficult.
Believe
it's been
me,
very
I know we couldn't party.
Yes.
I couldn't have my party, as you guys know.
Yes. And my 21st was in the house, like basically. But
everybody has been taking a lot more appreciation for contentment now. Like after like 2020 was definitely the year of being humble. And with that, like what she said on TikTok, on other social media platform, but mainly TikTok, most people are expressing their joys at home. They'll say, look at what I did today with my siblings. Look at what I cooked today. Here's a new hobby that I did. Here's something cute that my pet did. And, you know, before those stuff was like, oh, well, go out more. But since we were forced to be closed in, a lot more true happiness has been rooted in contentment. And I think that is definitely a big theme that has been playing in my personal life, especially these days too. Yeah,
totally. And just in our generation.
So what I'm hearing is that for you guys and your peers, there seems to be a lot of focus on the small things and enjoying the moment. And you guys are being really good about being able to be present in the now. Is there an idea of having a happy life, like in general?
So I feel as though our generation, so we're part of like Generation Z, Gen Z, probably heard of us. I think it's been difficult to look forward to the things that people in the past could have looked forward to, just simply because life is so different now. We don't really have the same types of goals and achievements we can look forward to, because a lot of us graduate with extreme debt from school, and it's like very hard for them to build lives. People aren't necessarily looking to have children the same as like older generations are, because it's hard for them to pay for things for themselves. Yeah. So I think people have started to shift. Like, I think a lot of things are starting to shift in the ways that we used to try to look for happiness. And I think they're trying to look for happiness within themselves first. And, you know, people are starting to have marriages later, children later, things like that. And I think they're starting to take the time to find themselves and happiness from being in their own energy, in their own presence, just being with friends and family. So I think the view of happiness has shifted a lot, but I think it's from a more genuine, reliable source, if that makes sense, instead of like external validation. But what about you?
Well, I think it's interesting because when I was your age, I don't even think we were thinking about the idea of a happy life at all. It was just like, make money, get a good job. It felt very much like a survival kind of mindset, at least for me and my peers when I was your age. And so a lot of my decision making was, I don't want to say it was flawed because I made good decisions, but it kind of was like, you know, accomplish these goals because these are the goals you're supposed to accomplish. There was no thought of if these goals would actually help me to have a happy life. And as a result, right, I found myself unhappy through, you know, some course of external events as well. So my kind of idea behind chasing joy, and it's really interesting what Shayna said about people tending, or you feel like your peers don't tend to have conversations surrounding happiness until they find themselves unhappy. I think that's true of everyone. I think that's true of all age groups, at least everyone that I've interacted with, unless they've started to become intentional about kind of curating and crafting a life that they really enjoy, where they are content most of the time. But it doesn't happen by mistake. So that's one of the things I really try to focus on with chasing joy. And like I said in my intro, encouraging people to focus on happiness, whatever that means for them, before they find themselves unhappy. Shayna, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, two things. Well, for the first one is that you mentioned like living to find happiness. For me, because I have some people in my life that kind of have the same ideology as me, I don't try to chase a life for happiness. I'm one of those people that try to just live in the moment, because happiness, just like pain, is inevitable. Just like how a storm is inevitable, as much as I hate thunder, but it stops. It has to stop, right? Because that's just how the world works. There's bad moments and then there's good moments, and that's kind of the cycle that we live in. Yeah. And if we spend too much time in the bad moments, stressing and trying to find that joy or trying to find that happiness, it actually makes the pain feel like it's long, makes it feel like it's much more longer, because you're trying to force a healing. And that's what's going to stress you out
healing
more.
It takes time. You can't force
that. And it does take time. And when you're able to work that muscle of being present, even in your pain, when you're happy, that joy will feel like the most amazing. You'll feel like you can never feel sad again. And then when another sad moment comes, you'll feel much stronger, because you're like, you know what? I survived something like this before. And you know, like I can be happy again because
I would love to have a moment where I felt like I could never be sad again. I've never reached that level of happiness. I'm happy you have, though. I'm happy you have. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and that's part of what I try to do with chasing joy. So chasing joy is not about like constantly trying to be super, super happy. but it's about kind of creating this life that helps you become resilient, because like you said, the sad things are always going to happen. But when you've kind of built a life with a solid foundation, you bounce back quicker. That healing process happens faster. And I know that from my own personal experiences. So when I first started chasing joy, I've shared, before with people, especially people who are here in our group who've been part of the brand family for a long time. It was like secret. Only my mom knew about it. It was just kind of like this personal project that I had, and over time it grew into like something that was public, and then I eventually was transitioning it into a brand and business. And when I did that, I said, okay, well, what have I actually done, right? So at this point, Chasing Joy was already a few years old. So I kind of went back and looked, and I realized that over those years, I had focused on 6 key areas. And in getting stronger in those 6 key areas, my life in general was happier, and that resilience was stronger. And so those areas, I ended up calling them the pillars of joy. And so I always stumble over them, though I created them, right? I think I would know them. They're goals, giving back, gratitude, self-care, faith, and healthy relationships. So do any of those areas in particular like resonate with you guys, or areas that you focus on?
So 3 things popped out: gratitude, healthy relationships, and faith. The number one of those is faith. One, because I'm a Christian, and I do believe that is a core of my life. And I do believe in Christ, and I do believe that he has a will, and that he has a purpose in my life, and for my life. And not even just that, in Christ, there is true joy, because there are moments where I did not think I would survive. For example, having lost my mom, and I somehow made peace with her death. And not by my strength, obviously by the strength of the Lord, and meditating on his word and leaning on him more and less on myself. And during that time, I learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot about grief and pain, and all of those things turned into fuel, in which helped me to be present during those times. It helped me to heal. And then it also helped me to help others as well. So that's faith plays a role. In gratitude, sometimes I'm not so grateful for things, and I can find myself complaining about things.
We all do that.
Like if I'm running late for somewhere, if I'm running late for somewhere and it's my fault I'm running late, and I'm too busy complaining, rather than being like, well, I'm grateful I at least woke up this morning. I'm grateful I at least had this opportunity to have a job, or have this person be willing to take me to my destination. Or even so, like if I'm talking on the phone with somebody, and I was in the middle of a task, and I'm just like, okay, I need to hurry up, get off the call. But I could be grateful that that person's on the phone with me, because I know the feeling of missing hearing somebody's voice over the phone. And then also healthy relationships. I've had toxic friends before, and as I gotten older, I have a deeper love and appreciation for my family. I appreciate my parents. I appreciate my siblings, my grandparents, all of my extended family members. I know that there's like
your aunties.
My auntie.
I just said.
Auntie Arlett, yeah. And baby Joy Chaser. It's just like as I get older, I already know there's a beauty of family. Like you get head knowledge, like yeah, family's important. But then as you get older, you can see how much the social forces of a family truly shapes us into who we are, and not just who we are, but how we can be better. Because my family member is a different person, and they play a different role in our life too.
Ambria, what about you?
Aside from family, I appreciate. Huh?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was asking Ambria, what about her? But finish your statement. Aside from family, you appreciate.
It's like last couple of things, and then I appreciate the friendships I have now as I've gotten older, and now I'm in university. I'm exploring new friendships, and I also appreciate my boyfriend now, and I feel like he and I have a really great friendship and relationship as well. And as a result, having these amazing people, I feel myself continually blossoming, and I don't feel myself being degraded, which is really important.
Yeah.
Okay,
so yeah. I think you said goal chasing, right? Or something about goals as part of one of your pillars.
Goals is one of the pillars, yes.
Okay, so I heavily resonate with goals. I'm extremely goal-oriented and very ambitious naturally. I truly feel that gives me a sense of purpose. Not that it's like my only sense of purpose, but I truly rely on my goals to like get me by in life. Just it makes me feel good. It's like a little fun game. Like, I think it's super exciting. But I think another thing too is gratitude. And I don't know if you asked about adding one, but I'm just gonna.
That was gonna be my next question, but jump in.
Okay, sorry. I'll just wait until you ask. But yeah,
I'm asking now. What would you add to the list?
Yeah. So okay, I would add being present and self-love, because I think those are extremely important. I think being present is the most important thing anybody can do. I feel that life works, at least in my experience, life can work in cycles. And I think the key to getting out of certain cycles in life is by being present, because in order to recognize things happening, you have to be present to be able to do that. But sometimes people get super caught up in the past by thinking about the past. People get too caught up in the future, not understanding the present creates the future. So I think being present is extremely important when living life, because depression stems from overthinking about the past, and anxiety stems from overthinking about the future. When you really set yourself in the present, you'll be able to be more connected to whatever faith people are connected to. You can't like hear that connection to that faith if you are too busy in certain areas of life and not connected to yourself. And I think, like I said, self-love is extremely important to me, and I'm just at a pivotal time in life where it's important for me to be selfish right now. And I think setting boundaries is self-love, and I think communicating your boundaries to people is self-love. And I feel that being able to put yourself first so you can take care of yourself to take care of other people is self-love. And I think that's not stressed enough in most communities, especially with women. We definitely need to start to learn how to love ourselves more in order to give to others, to be nurturing to people, to be a mother, to be a sister, whatever, to be a good partner. You have to give yourself love first. And I think that's something extremely important and super vital. But yeah, if you wanted to add anything.
I'm saying, like, because sometimes, and that's important too.
Yes.
All those relationships are important too. But we are also people outside of our relationships too. We are our own people. And I think that is something as women that can get, for example, I saw this post and it was about sexism, and it was about hurting women. And the post said, she was somebody's mom, she was somebody's sister, she was somebody this, somebody that. And then somebody crossed out all those she was somebody's and said she was a person.
She's a person.
And so I think Ambria made a wonderful, wonderful point about setting boundaries.
Yes. So I love with everything that you guys said. It's so funny because I was just about to announce that I was going to add another pillar, and I had just decided that today.
Oh, no way.
Because, so I'll announce two things. So one, the challenge for those of you in the Chasing Joy Facebook group for June is going to be mindfulness. Because I recently went for like a massage and I could not relax because I could not stay in the moment. And I've always struggled with that. And as Shayna was talking, I was like, oh yeah, this is so timely because I'm just about to announce that mindfulness and being present is going to be the June challenge. And I'm thinking, I think I need to make that be a pillar of joy because that's not something I've specifically worked on. And I've always struggled with that. And I will thank my dad for that blessing of being a worrier. It has some positives to it because you prepare for things,
right?
But it's very hard to turn it off. And so I think I'm going to add mindfulness as a seventh pillar of joy that I need to work on.
Gosh,
I like
that's
what
awesome.
you say about self-love. I kind of use that interchangeably with self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, everything, all of the pillars are part of self-care, because these are all things you do to take care of yourself. You know, growing in your faith, setting goals, making sure your relationships are healthy. Boundaries is part of having healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like what you guys said. But yeah, so y'all heard it here first. New pillar of joy that I will be working on, and you guys can join me, will be mindfulness, and that's going to be our June challenge. So before I go on to the next question, we do have some comments in the chat. Shane says it was a good point. I think that Shayna made about how you have to feel your feelings. It helps to heal. Timwa said she misses you ladies. Then Shane said big brother / daddy is proud of all of y'all. So that would be all of us. That's very nice. Thank you. Let me see. Is there any other questions? All right. Keep dropping your questions and comments in the chat, guys, as we watch. And Anya said I was pronouncing her name correct. Good. Thank you. Janice said loving yourself is important. Absolutely. It's very hard to genuinely be caring and giving to others when you're really struggling with loving yourself. I think you can do it. I don't think it's impossible. Now people say you can't love anyone if you don't love yourself. That's not true. You can. But I do think, it's probably a lot more challenging. Because you're going to have a hard time with those boundaries. You're going to end up having a lot of unhealthy relationships. So yes, that self-love is important. And a lot of that can come from, at least for me, and I think like Shayna was speaking to, having a strong faith foundation helps you love yourself, because, you believe, especially being a Christian, like Jesus died for you. Like he loved you enough to do that. Like, well, obviously I'm worthy of love, and like I can love myself, So all these things kind of, work together and are interchangeable. Oh, that's a good question from Temwa. I think I'll ask it in a minute though. So my next question, and then I'll kind of transition into Temwa, is a really good question. How do you guys manage the stress of kind of being at this transitional stage of your life? And I'll add, considering the whole world's watching, because we have social media now. I'm so glad I didn't have social media when I was in college. There are no videos of me partying anywhere. I'm very thankful. Not that I wasn't partying, but there's no videos. So how do you guys like manage just the stress of being, you're young adults, so you're increasingly more independent, but you still, need help and support. You're starting, new careers, new schools, accomplishing some major life goals. Like how are you guys managing that stress?
You want me to go? Okay. So honestly,
or are you?
I think I am pretty holding it together pretty well. I have a daily routine. So every morning I wake up, I go to the gym. It's a huge form of therapy for me. And I meditate a lot. I do a lot of meditation. Meditation is just the act of being present. It could just be meditation and walking in the nature, or being in meditation and just meditating. But for me, I make it a point to actively take care of myself in certain ways, spiritually, for myself, mentally, emotionally. So I like to go to the gym to take care of my body. And I like to meditate when I get back. And then I make sure I'm in the right mindset before I go into my goal. I never get up and just work. I used to do that a lot, burnt me out, lost energy, taking care of other people before me. I also go, if I can find time, I go into nature, which is super grounding for me. I love nature. We have like a
dogs.
No, absolutely not.
So you go for walks?
Yeah, I go for walks and nature. I sit near the water and I journal and I write a lot. It's just a way for me to express myself. And because I'm not the type to, like, I have a lot of people that know me and a lot of followers and stuff, but I personally do not have a lot of friends. I do have like a couple close people to me. So for me, I think being in my own energy, my own presence is super important to me. I love being by myself like a lot. I really do. Because for me, it's the way I can understand myself. And I think a good thing too is I don't apply pressure on myself. I allow myself to learn what I need to know. I accept myself as I am. And I trust that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be with the tools, facilities that I have, and that I'm being guided every step of the way. And I'm not really worried about what's next because I trust that I'm learning things that are taking me to the next level that I am meant to be at. That's how I think my perspective is very important in the way that I do that.
So how do you balance not worrying about the next step with how much you enjoy accomplishing goals? Because it seems like that could be hard to keep that in balance. Some people who aren't worried about the next step, they don't have any goals. And then some people are super goal driven, and then they're always, I'm more like that, goal driven, and I'm always way too many steps ahead.
Yeah, no. So
how are you balancing that?
So I have this ideology. I don't think anybody can make any strong, important decisions in a stressed mindset. So in my perspective, I'm like, I can't think about the next step if I'm stressed right now. Like, so I purposely make it a point to, like, I have goals for myself that I set for the end of the year. This is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to get there. I don't really put too much of a timestamp on myself, but I trust that I'm going to get there. And I honestly feel like I lead my life in way more of a spiritual way than in a physical way of looking at what's physically happening in my reality. I don't compare myself to the next person. I don't compare myself to what people think I should do. I simply follow my heart and what God's leading me to do. And I think that helps me a lot. And I think that my focus isn't on my next step. My focus is on God. And I think keeping my focus on God and myself, taking care of myself, leads me to be able to make the next steps by listening to my own intuition and to when God is speaking to me. And that's what I said earlier, like, it's important for you to be in tune with yourself, in tune with when God is speaking with you in order to get your next step. Because we definitely, like, I totally am all about like listening to your intuition and stuff, and it's important. But like, if you're making a decision out of fear, that's already the wrong decision. You must make decisions out of faith. You must make your decisions out of love and out of trust. And so I naturally try my best to be in the best mindset possible before I even think about the next step. So that's just how I go about it. But yeah, how about you, Shane? I was like, I forgot the question.
The question was, how are you managing, if you're managing, the stress of kind of being at this transitional phase in your life? Being a young adult where you are an adult, but you're not completely independent yet. Still need help and support from people. Plus, with this never-ending social media presence, there's billions of people always watching. So how are you managing that stress?
So I have two people that I talk to in my head. Mommy Shayna and baby Shayna, right? So I don't know where this came from. It's been going on since high school, and I still do this, but as I've gotten older, I put a name to it. So basically, Mommy Shayna is the part of me that's like, okay, well, let's get your discipline going on. Let's work on this, let's work on that, and try to get everything structured. Baby Shayna wants to have fun and will let you know when she is tired, and will let you know when she's overwhelmed and needs to break down. And I don't put judgment over who was right or who was wrong. They just two things I have in my head. The reason why I state like those different roles that I have in my mind is because when I feel myself getting stressed out, it just reminds me of a toddler or being a toddler. Like if you get overwhelmed, you can't help but to just let everybody know, like, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed. And sometimes with being a young adult, sometimes it just seems like society wants to give us all of the tasks and remind us that, hey, at one point you're going to be burnt out, or just be like, you're getting older, you got money coming up, or you got money due, or you got to get a job, or you got to do all this stuff, or else you're never going to be successful. If you're not successful, then what are you living for, right? And you mentioned something earlier about living, basically like surviving, right? And then it seems like as we get older, we're constantly being taught how to survive. And then with me, I don't want to be constantly taught how to survive. I just want to live. I want to appreciate life. And if we're constantly surviving all the way up to death, then what we're even living for in the first place? I want to live, and I want to see all the beautiful things in life, and I want to eat. Like I used to feel shame for eating stuff, like, and I used to feel shame for wanting to hang out with my friends. If I'm like, oh, if I'm not doing something that's academic right now, if I'm not like doing anything that pertains to working, making money, or school, then I'm doing something wrong. So as a way that I manage those stress, if I feel stressed, I stop what I'm doing and I just watch TV or something. Maybe like eat some candy. I don't eat candy often, but like I just do something. I baby myself. I'm like I had too much. Close my book, put a bookmark in it, and just sit it down. I might take a nap or something, and then I have to talk to myself like as if I'm being like a very compassionate mom and being like, okay, I recognize that you're overwhelmed. I'm gonna give you 10 minutes to just do whatever you want and just relax. And then after that 10 minutes is done, we're going to talk about your feelings, and then we're going to get back to work. So then I sit there and talk to myself, and I'm like, okay, how am I feeling right now? And that ties into mindfulness, because mindfulness had the big, mindfulness, correct me if I'm wrong, mindfulness, you're aware of how you feel. And you not only are aware of how you feel, you're aware of how a situation makes you feel. And then you got to be able to talk about how you can work with yourself to move past whatever emotions you have and still be able to accomplish what you need to get done. And so with that, I'm able to practice mindfulness. And the role of mommy Shana is to work that muscle of mindfulness. And the role of baby Shana is to let me know I'm tired, I'm anxious, and I need to relax. And sometimes I don't listen to baby Shana because I'm like, well, as an adult, I have to work myself to death, or I have to do this. I have to be stressed all the time because that's what an adult is, right? And when I don't listen to that, and when I don't allow myself to rest, I cry and I catch attitudes. I can get really bad attitudes with people too. And what happens is when I suppress all of that anger and suppress all of that stress,
says, yes, you can.
Yeah, I start taking it out on people like how an actual toddler would. You know, toddlers, as they get older, they start experiencing these new emotions, and they don't know how to put that anywhere.
Me, I know.
Yeah, and so to be honest, that I don't think that truly ever goes away. Is that at least the concept? Because even when we're like adults, we still have emotions that we don't always know how to express. Yep. And as a result, have we really truly grown up from being a toddler and that mentality? Like, we still feel like a baby. And sometimes we just need somebody to like baby us and be like, okay, listen, let's talk about this. Let's work through this together. And that's kind of what I do for myself when I have stress.
I really like that. I like your mama Shana and baby Shana, because how we talk to ourselves, like our self-talk is super important, and like the words we use matter. And I like that you can take on these different roles within yourself to talk to yourself in whatever way you need, whether it's to like tell yourself to like, you know, man up, still got to do X, Y, and Z right now, or to give yourself, you know, the comfort and that you need. So I really like that. But kind of somewhat piggybacking off that, so you guys are doing all of this, like I said, in the guise of under eyes of social media. So Timwa had asked, do you think you could ever completely detach from social media?
No.
Okay.
I want to eventually, honestly. I think social media is a lot of pressure, and I think being an influencer, like, it's tough because it's work for me. I've never seen it as fun. I see it as work, and it's a lot of pressure to be able to show up as a certain person. And as you change and evolve, you lose followers, your followers fluctuate. People want to see certain content, and you want to change your content and lose that follower. And for me, like, I hope one day, like when I have the money and the following, like I can detach for a while, and I just want to be in an oasis of nature and just be at peace. And like I made it, like I don't have to work to make my name a thing. My name is a thing. I have the influence and the power to influence lives for the better, and I could take a step back because it's working for itself now. I would love to indulge in that, because social media is very hard work. It's every single day you have to show and post. On my TikTok, I post twice a day, every single day. I don't take breaks. And it's a lot of pressure to have to constantly like get comments. A lot of people constantly I do not respond to my comments. It's so bad. I should, but it's an energy exchange for me. And that's another way I try to protect my energy. I don't respond to comments. I will soon though. But I just like hope to take a break eventually, but it's work for me. And if you take a break for a while, you lose that following. The algorithm, the social media platform like minimizes your stuff. They don't show it as much. So it's very hard and it's time consuming and it's a lot for your mental health. So I do hope to do that eventually one day. But yeah.
So Tillma didn't ask me, but I'm gonna answer also. No, I don't think I could step away from social media either. So you're not alone, Shayna. I'm kind of in between both of you guys because I do social media influencing for work through Chasing Joy as well. So I totally get what you're saying about it being work, but I don't ever think I will be the type of influencer that lets go of my day job because there's certain things that I really enjoy about social media and the connections that I've been able to make. And I think if I had to solely rely on the money I make from Chasing Joy, I would lose the fun aspect because then it would be all work all the time and I would have to post every day. I don't post every day now. I haven't updated my blog. I'm ashamed to say how long. But my brand is still alive and I'm just happy about that. So yeah, I'm kind of in between. Like Shayna said, definitely no. She was not trying to give it up.
It's too funny. There's so many good memes on there.
And the thing is with social, especially if you are not trying to be an influencer, you have so much control over your feed and what you see. I am the queen of blocking people. I block people preemptive. I block them, and then later I'm like, oh, they're okay. Then I unblock them. So yeah. So I just want to throw that out there because I feel like sometimes people make it seem like, oh, these younger people, they're on this all TikTok all day, or they can't get rid of Instagram. And it's not just them. Like I'm not an old person per se. But, I'm not Gen Z either. So I don't think that's just like your, generation thing being kind of attached to social media. Because I'm definitely attached to it and I enjoy it. So kind of, Tillma's posting good questions tonight. She asked, and I'll tie this into my question. Tillma asked, how should parents feel about or react to social media? And my question was, in general, how can the parental figures in your life like best support you?
So to answer Auntie Thelma's question about the social media thing, one thing I'm grateful for about my parents, which at the time annoyed the mess out of me, but now I'm grateful, is when I was younger than 13 years old, they went through my messages. And I was like thinking like, stop, like I'm about to be a teenager, they going through my stuff. But then one time I had a gentleman keep messaging me and I didn't know what to do. And I was scared. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do? Like, I didn't know what to do.
That's not a gentleman, by the way, a man.
Man, yeah, right, not a gentleman. A man keep sending me messages and I didn't know what to do. And I'm grateful because he finally left me alone suddenly, and I went back on my messaging with him, and it turns out Mama J basically scared him off, which I'm grateful for because I was scared. And I'm grateful that I have my parents to be nosy at that time, because for example, I used to watch the show Dateline. I don't know if you've ever watched that, with Chris Hansen. I watched the show and I would think like, how could kids be that dumb? Like, it wasn't real kid, but like some kids would still text men and be like, hey, come over. With my parents being super protective and warning me at an early age about predators, I've kind of protected myself and had that head knowledge to know what not to do on social media. And then, of course, they still have to discipline me and make sure that I was not talking to strange people, not posting anything majorly inappropriate, or just not doing anything that's not socially adequate online. But then now your other question was what was your other question again about
parents? So before I go into, I'll repeat it, but I just wanted to add to like what Shayna is saying. I think parents should also make use of their village, because I used to be watching y'all social media too, and I definitely had picked up my phone and called your dad and was like, who's this person? Because I like, Shayna is friends with him and he looks a little older. Who's that? You know who this is? And he'd be like, oh yeah, I know who that person is. I'm like, oh, okay. Because you need, multiple eyes. Parents can't do anything really by them. No one can do anything by themselves. And the best parent needs support. So that doesn't go away when your kids are big and on social media. You still need other people looking out for them and kind of seeing what they're doing as well, so they can alert you if something seems questionable. The second part of the question was just in general, how do you think like the parental figures in your life can best support you?
It's like they're watching, so what do I say?
But this is your opportunity to tell them exactly how you'd like to be supported. I no matter what you say, they're gonna love you anyway. I guarantee that part.
Well, for one, I'm very grateful for my parents, always will be. When I went on campus for the first time and saw the stuff that I saw there, I came back home and was like, yeah, I have some really good parents. But I think the biggest thing would be, don't be afraid to let me go. Cause they did teach me
to like trust you.
Trust me more. Cause it's like, I think I had like some friends be like, oh, like you're on campus now, I guess you're a party animal. And I'm like, no, I lived into like 2 parties. Like I learned quickly that's not kind of my environment. I'm more of like a hang out in my dorm kind of person. I don't like parties like that, I learned. But I want my parents to not be so hard on themselves and to trust that they did do a good job with me. And I want them to be able to know that they can kind of let go of their grasp a little bit, because I'll be okay. And I know I'll be okay. And not even just that, even if, now I'm grateful I don't have helicopter parents, but let's say hypothetically I did, no matter how tight their grasp will be, God is still sovereign. And no matter how tight your hands may be as a human, you can't stop what the inevitable whatever that big word is, inevitable events in life, whether your grasp is tight or slightly loose. If you believe in the Lord, I know that God will keep his eye on me, and I know that he will continue to convict me, because as the word says, raise up your children in the way that they must go, and they won't go far from it. And I know I can't go far from it. Even when I was over here in my dorm having a conviction to clean my dishes. I don't like cleaning dishes, but and then one time in the bathroom, like it was like the bathroom was a public bathroom space, and I'm sitting in there cleaning it because I was always taught clean up after yourself and stuff like that, and I was just like, but certain convictions always
don't clean up after other people, because it's still COVID out here.
But yeah, but my point is that sometimes you have certain convictions that stick with you, and I just want my parents. I think I would feel very supported if they would trust me more, and also trust in the Lord, and that I'll be okay.
That's great. That's awesome. Do you mind repeating the questions? I'm sorry.
So the questions were, how do you think parents, this was from Temwa, how do you think parents should react or feel about social media? And my question was, how do you feel the parental figures in your life can best support you in general?
Okay. So first things first, I think parents are the number one fans of social media. I gotta say it. I think you guys like being on there more than us sometimes. I do have to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do feel that parents, I think the monitoring thing, to just from my perspective, I've always kept my social media, especially as I got older, more private. Like I'm not the type to be, oh, this is what, like, see what I post on Instagram to my family, or like I post this on TikTok. I'm naturally just more of a like reserved person when it comes to the stuff that I do. But I do feel that communicating to your children what is okay and what is not okay to post is important. When I was in high school, they had an entire assembly every year to let kids know, like, post this, social media is permanent. Post this, do not post this, do not do certain things on Snapchat, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, and it was really important. I think parents need to communicate that, important boundaries when it comes to staying on for a long time. When is the right time to like to prevent, because people get depression from sitting on social media in their room in the dark. That's how you can get depression from that. So like just having proper boundaries with yourself, proper boundaries with the way that you communicate with people around you, the fact that it's like permanent on social media, whatever you post, things like that is really important to be able to post. I mean, to have that discussion with your children about having boundaries with social media.
So what do you think about this? So my idea is when baby Joy Chaser is old enough to use social media, I'm not going to let him put his real name on anything. So that way, I mean, I know people can still find stuff about you, but I don't want a college to be like typing in his government and like say he did make a mistake and post something that can be you know, where people misunderstand what he meant and be like, oh no, he can't come to this school because look what he posted 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know. So I don't know. I feel like I would make him like, you got to pick up a fake name.
I can totally see that. I don't feel that is a direction I would choose as a parent. Right. I think like having him put his stuff on private would be great, but
I'll probably do that too.
Yeah, but I think like it's important to let baby Joy Chaser have their individuality and freedom in that way. Still,
it depends on the ages though.
Yeah,
because I think like if
high school's a good time, like high school's great. Like middle school, maybe fake name, fake alias for sure. But high school definitely, like I think allowing him have the freedom to put his name is important because you know you have your friends, they're all putting their names, and so you just having not your name, well, and it makes you feel alienated.
I think that's a good point. I think he'll probably want to be on there at 13. I think 13 is when they say, even though kids get on there before. So I think at that point, I won't let him do his own name. But then when he starts saying he wants to, I guess we'll have that conversation.
Yeah, totally.
That's a good point. I don't.
Yeah. I'm just imagining him being like 16 years old, everybody in school calling him Baby Joy Chaser.
Right.
Well, no, he could pick whatever name he wants. Well, that's why I call him Baby Joy Chaser, to protect his privacy. So yeah. I don't think he's going to be telling people like, hey, you know. And then as he gets older, I am starting to just put BJC when I refer to him anyway. The second part of the question was, in general, how do you feel like the parental figures in your life can be best support you?
I think, so I am like, I do not feel like, okay, this is a difficult for me to answer. I feel like I am such an independent person naturally. Like, I feel like I'm an individual. I like when I'm doing my own thing. And I do appreciate the guidance from here and there, just from like all aspects of parental figures in my life. But I think like in most polite way possible, let me do my own thing. Like, I think like,
so I translate, you want space.
Yes. I think just to be understood and to not have to feel pressure to go in a certain direction. If I'm not feeling that I want to go in a certain direction is very important to me, because I think just really important, just in general, like just in the Black community in general, like I think there's a certain, like, this is what you have to do to be successful. And just because it's safe and it works and it's important and I understand, but I think like it's important to allow your kids to be able to have their sense of, let me figure it out myself in a way. Because if I understand, say it again.
Individuality.
Yeah, like I think really just like, let me take the reins of my life a bit and trust me. I know what I'm doing kind of vibe when it comes to certain things. Like, and this is, if I felt that way more so in my youth, and I felt more supported in my, even now I feel like I would be more comfortable sharing certain things with people, but because I feel a lack of understanding, or I kind of feel like it would raise eyebrows. I keep a lot of stuff to myself, my goals, my endeavors, the things that I'm doing. And I think to be able to have a healthy relationship with your parent, you should want to feel comfortable enough to share certain things without feeling like you have to feel pressure to go a certain way or have to shift what you're actually doing.
Sounds like open-mindedness.
Yes, exactly. Open-mindedness. But I totally see the perspective of the parent. Like, you want the best for your kid. You want the best for this person in your life. Like, you want them to do this. And I feel the way that the parental generation, I guess, was raised up. It's like, this is what you do to be successful. And it worked for them. However, things are so much more different now than people realize. And I think you don't realize it until you're in our shoes. Like, life is way different. Like, it's not the same. Like, debt for school is bad. Like, it's scary.
It was bad for us too. For my
and it got even worse.
But I think
now.
It's increasingly worse.
It's horrible. Year. And like, so my point is, like, I totally see it
because most of my friends are still in student loan debt 20 years after college for some.
I saw a TikTok, some girl, she paid like $50K of her student loans and still has to pay another $100K because of the interest alone. But anyway, I think open-mindedness, understanding, like, because at the end of the day, as much guidance as I may receive, that's not just going to change the way I feel I should go about my life. So I think sometimes, like, when approaching a child, you just got to release the reins a little bit. If you do want them to be more communicative and feel more comfortable expressing things. But yeah, that's just my perspective.
Can I add something? I have something that I want to add. Because she mentioned success. I remember there was a point in my life where I hated that word because success did not seem to me what it actually meant. Success seemed to mean do everything you hate now so that way life doesn't seem to be an inconvenience anymore. And it seemed like at no point would I ever be able to live for myself. I think it is important to be successful. And I think that success should be something that you should chase when you know what you want. Like, when you personally want to be successful. You can define
it for yourself.
Yeah, for yourself. But I think that if I've seen parents do this, I don't think my parents do this 100%, but if you raise your child to be success oriented at a young age, they're going to live their life just feeling like they always have to please somebody. Never truly having a deeper understanding of who they are or what their needs are or what their boundaries are. And with that, when you raise up your family trying to be success oriented, where's the relationship in that? And how are you guys going to be able to live like just together? Like, what does a normal Tuesday at 2:45 p.m. look like? It's just sitting there.
No, people are at school and work.
Okay, fine. Saturday at 4 p.m. Right. Saturday,
or maybe they're not at school and work, depending on what that looks like for you.
Yeah, but like, what does it look like at home when it's quiet? Like, when was the last time, a parent had a conversation with their child about their favorite character in a TV show?
Yes.
Or when was the last time
asking about the child?
Yeah. Or when was the last
knowing
time
who their friends are?
A child was able to be like, hey, like, parents, who was your childhood best friend, and do you still talk to them?
Yeah.
Or do you remember somebody's phone number from 30 years ago? Like, little stuff like that.
Yes, you do. I do.
Right.
So what would you want your peers to know about cultivating a happy, like, joyful life? And by that, I don't mean like every moment of your life is happy, because that's unrealistic, and that would be kind of probably like manic if every moment was like super, super happy. But just in general, like having like what you would consider like, this is a good life. I have a happy life. What do you want your peers to know or think about trying to cultivate that for themselves?
Be content. That's the root of it. It's contentment. Because it's true. There's always somebody who has it worse, and then there's always somebody who has it better. What could you do about it? Just be content. Because, for somebody who may be homeless, they're thinking about the next person who has a house, but then somebody's looking at that person saying, oh, wow, they have a tent. Somebody just robbed me in my tent. And then that same person's like, oh, wow, they can walk. I'm in a wheelchair. And then that person's like, wow, they're in a wheelchair. I can't even leave the hospital room. It's always like that effect. behind it. And so all you can really do is focus on yourself and be content.
I would say the answer to that is to not chase other people's dreams for you, to follow what you need to do for yourself and follow your heart. Do not live your life trying to please others. Don't live your life trying to please what your parents want you to do, or what your peers want you to do, or what you felt your teachers wanted you to do. I really feel like it's important everybody follows their own purpose and what their own soul is telling them to do. Because I feel like God leads us through our own souls and our own intuition a lot of times. And I feel that a lot of times and I think this is what older generations did. They chose what other people told them to do. And I think that's why there's so much dissatisfaction and so much unhappiness in older generations. And I think that's such a difference for our peers, Gen Z. Like, we are so about,
not all older generations.
Well, generations, I don't know the correct term to say.
Well, I'm just not everybody in an older generation.
Yeah, not old, just like pre
some older people.
Yeah, like, but anyway, yeah, I feel that people from my generation, like, a lot of us are not listening to what people are telling us to do. And like, we're not just like going to school and college and being like, okay, let me take these loans out and do this and that. So like, this generation so many people have started businesses in high school right now, making 6 figures already. People have started businesses in college, dropped out of school. They're millionaires now. Like, at our time, people are becoming influencers, social media managers, making 6 figures in 6 months. Like, and people are choosing what makes them happy, and they're choosing what makes them feel good, and they're figuring it out themselves instead of listening to what other people are telling them what to do. And I think that's the number one thing I would always tell somebody: do not listen. Don't just like, be teachable and be a student of life. And my dad always told me to say this growing up, even though I think I know I'm still willing to learn. I think it's so important. And I think it's important to take guidance from people, but don't always take, filter it out. Like, take things with a grain of salt. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't pick it up. If it does, take it and apply it. And I think it's important for you to follow your heart and your own soul's calling at the end of the day.
So the reason why I was saying that not everyone from older generations, because I was going to share with you I think the best lesson I learned from my mom, which is related to not living your life for other people. So when I was a small girl, whenever I didn't get my way with my mom, I would be like, that's not nice. And her answer every single time was, who says I have to be nice? And I would get so pissed off. Like, I would be so angry. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I got it. Like, it doesn't matter if people think I'm nice. Like, I don't have to do what other people want me to do. And that's what I think she was teaching me every time she said that. And so I have not lived my life to please other people, or I probably wouldn't have had a kid all by myself if I was doing that. And my mom definitely didn't live her life to please other people. But I do think that that's probably not the norm. I think most people really struggle with the boundary of taking in what people want for them, because they know people want the best for them, but then figuring out what the best for them really is. So I don't want us to run too long. I'll just share a few of the comments. So Shane, who is your dad and my brother, he was responding to Shayna saying, don't be afraid to let us go, kind of thing. And he said, I'm not afraid. He said, but where are you going? Janice was sharing, the parents are always going to advise and guide, and so are aunties, and all the other parental types who love you. They're always going to advise and guide. But you do, as you become more of an adult, have to filter through what is going to work for you. Marilyn wanted to know, what does success look like for each of you? Like, how right now, I mean, that's probably an ever-changing picture. So I think that changes for all of us as we have different life experiences. But right now, what does success look like for you? If you're not sure, you can say you're not sure. That's fine.
I think right now, success looks like taking care of my mental health. Because I don't have like I used to have like a straight idea of where I should go in life and what I should do. And to be honest, like, honestly, after my mom's death, everything shattered because I struggled so badly in school. Everything just was discombobulated and I didn't care anymore. Like my urgency for certain things just disappeared. I don't have certain urgencies in my life anymore that I'm like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. I kind of just fell back and was like, you know what? It's out of my hands. Like I can't. My number one thing is that I want to be able to just be in a place in life where I just feel content and joy. In terms of like stuff that's tangible, I want a big house. I want a nice big house. I want to do a job where I could be like, you know what, I don't mind doing this job for other people. I want to be able to do something to make people smile. Maybe I could start back up my YouTube channel. I would like to try and update my hair and makeup page. And I would like to continue to work on my social media page and be more interactive. And someday I would love to be a wife and a mother and just have a family. And I would like to actually raise my family in a way where we could feel safe and comforted. And I don't believe there is such thing as like the perfect family, because we're all humans and no perfect human is like perfect, but I still want us to be able to feel safe and comfortable with one another and know that we can always turn to one another, whenever we need anything.
So for me, success, I want to own my time. I want to own whatever I want to own when I want to own it without thinking about the price tag. And I would like to create an empire that runs by itself, that helps to better people's lives. Like whatever it is, I just want it to run by itself. That's the goal. I don't want to have to be like, it's just like passive streams of income like that. Like I have an empire I'm currently building and it's growing, expanding every single day. But I truly want to leave a legacy on this planet that I can leave tools and teachings and behind people where they can be able to maneuver life on their own. But overall, I want to own my time and own whatever I want to own when I want to own it. And that's the goal. And it'll happen. It'll happen. I'm excited for that.
And go on expensive vacations together.
Oh yeah. What's expensive? I can afford it. Like it's not expensive.
Boya and all those places.
Yeah. Bali,
Hawaii. Go to visit Liberia at least once.
Take care of my family. Oh, that's important. Take care of my mom's side of the family.
Yes. I want to finally meet them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like give them a house, some money that'll last them 20 years and don't have to really focus on that part again. But like, that's what I'm really excited for. And just to take my family, like I know I am going to be the type the name Hartie is going to be a well-known name. It's going to be a very wealthy name. And I intend to be the change in doing that. So, yeah.
So the last question before we kind of lighten up with our game, Shane asks, is there a place for accountability and fellowship?
A place for accountability
and fellowship, I guess, in maybe like the life that you envision for yourself?
Do you mean fellowship in terms of our faith, like Christianity or the church, or?
Yeah. Probably something like fellowship and accountability.
In all things, you always have to meet with the council of people in your life. Like, of course, as the younger generation, we are highly influenced by don't let other people rule your life. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk to other people on what they think we should do. Mm-hmm. Like, we can't be foolish and just go by the first emotion we have and just run and do whatever with it. Mm-hmm. Because that's not always there has to be judgment. We do have to have judgment within ourselves and test our thoughts and whatnot.
So Shane said no, he means like being accountable to others.
So then there is also making sure that with the healthy relationship part, we can't always be selfish. At least for me, like I don't think that we should always be selfish, because we are not main characters in life as much as we would like to be. But there's billions of other people in the world. In terms of ourselves, we do have to take care of ourselves. But in the moments where we're not working, or in the moments where we may have free time, or even if we are working, we do have to take care of one another. At least that is what God intended, for us to love one another, and take care of one another, and to give. One of my flaws when I was younger is that I always thought you had to give everything. So I used to always want to be friend with everybody, call everybody my best friend. I used to even give money to people, and I am not proud of it. But I thought
it's nice to have a generous spirit, but again, the boundaries.
Yeah, and that's where boundaries come in. And that's what's happening in this generation. We're trying to explore our boundaries. Of course we want to give and love our friends and love our families. Of course we want to do that. But then there comes a time where we don't want that to be abused. And we want to be able to take that time to relax and provide for ourselves. And that's where that selfishness comes in, because it's like, okay, I've given enough. I'm about to run out of batteries. And
I don't even think we need to call it selfishness. That's self-care. Like, we have to take care of ourselves. You know, it's that analogy, that airplane analogy that people like to use, right? Whenever you're on the plane, they say, should there be an emergency, please, in the oxygen mask fall, please put on your own oxygen mask before you help anyone else. Because if you pass out, you can't help anyone.
That's exactly what it was.
And that's not selfish. That's self-care. So, all right, so let's lighten it up before we end for tonight. I have a game for you guys. So give me a moment to share my screen. And our game is, you guys are sisters. So we are going to play Name These Famous Sisters. So you guys can play, and our virtual studio audience can play as well. So when I share the pictures, you guys who are watching at home and in our Facebook group, put your guesses in the comments, and then I'll go on and tell you if you're right or not, and you guys guess as well. All right, so who are these girls? Oh, I went too far. So you got the first one you guys got. Who are these ladies? Who are these sisters?
I want to take a wild guess and say Sasha
and Malia.
I think that may be it.
Sasha and Malia Obama.
Yeah.
What are you guys saying in the chat? I give it a moment because there's that slight delay. Veronica says Obama daughters. That counts. What else? Did anybody else comment? All right, so that's right, Sasha and Malia.
What?
I love it. All right, who are these ladies?
Beyonce.
Oh, I didn't even see that correctly.
And
Beyonce and Solange. I didn't even see that correctly. It's like dark on the screen.
Let's see if anybody else commented.
No, sister.
No. Janice had said the Obama daughters.
Like here.
I don't know if anybody gets. Oh, so Solange and Beyonce. That's what Janice said. All right. Correct.
Chloe and Halle. I love them.
I forgot their last name.
If you don't listen to their music, they are amazing.
I think their last
name, they got hired by Beyonce.
Their last name Bailey. Is that their last name?
Yeah. What's her last name? Bailey.
Bailey's
and Haley.
Oh, Bailey twins.
No, they're not twins. They played twins on Grown It, I think, with ARHartie, but no, they're not twins. They look alike though. I know.
Veronica said they are singers with locks. I couldn't remember their name, I think. That's funny. That's accurate.
Oh. I'm mad they're not twins after I was told they was twins.
They're not twins.
All right. Give the next one, give like a second before you guess. so the people from home can guess too. Well, you Haley. Some of these I don't know if y'all will know.
Right, I was thinking that too. There's a song named after these two.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
By Doja Cat.
And Rico Nasty.
All right.
Not Rico Nasty.
Yeah. So who is it?
It's
Tia Tamara. Tia Tamara. Tia Tamara.
So several people in the chat knew them. Veronica, Janice, Tamwa. They had a reality show for a minute. And
really?
They did, and I really enjoyed it. It was like exactly what I needed to watch. Like when my mom was like first sick with cancer, and I would be up at night taking care of her and kind of scared to go to bed. And I would just watch their reality show, and it was like just entertaining enough, but it wasn't like ratchet. So it didn't give you any of that like angst that you get from like watching other people like fight and argue. It was exactly what I needed. And then, but like I said, it wasn't dramatic, ghetto enough, so probably it didn't last.
Okay.
All right, I don't know if y'all know these. Y'all might know.
I know one.
Yeah.
I don't know the. I know Felicia Rashid, but I don't know Rashad. I keep saying Rashid. I don't know where the E come from. Rashad. But
I had to throw in some for some people that at my age would definitely know. My age and older.
This is the part where they make fun of us.
I don't know.
No, we're not gonna make fun. We're not gonna make fun.
Is it like Rashida?
No.
I don't know.
Who are you thinking of, Rashida? Rashida Jones? Is that who you were thinking of?
No, I just thought it rhymed with Felicia. Wait,
no.
Is it Felicia Rashad, right?
Felicia Rashad.
Felicia Rashad. Potato.
Well,
no. No.
All right. Let's see. Shane said it's Claire Huxtable and Debbie Allen. So yeah. So Felicia Rashad and her sister Debbie Allen.
I've heard that name.
Yeah. Wait, who is that? Who is that?
Debbie Allen is a choreographer and actress and producer on a lot of stuff over the years.
Okay. We've probably seen her work too.
Yeah. If you did you guys ever watch A Different World? Like that would have been reruns.
I thought,
she was like one of the producers or executive directors on that.
That's so impressive.
And she did choreography, I think, for probably like Janet Jackson and like all kind of people. But yeah, they're sisters, and Felicia Rashad's last name is Rashad. That's her married last name. Yeah, Shane said she was on Fame. She did all that. Veronica said y'all making her feel old.
Sorry,
because I barely remember Fame. Fame was out when I was really little.
I know
but
Fame.
I do remember it.
I recognize Fame.
Well, they made a new one. I'm not talking about that one. So they did make a new one a few years ago. All right, let's see.
Wait, don't say it yet. Don't say it. Wait, I think that's my head. I know you know that.
I mean, yeah, but
those other ones,
Hey, any guesses? Okay, Veronica sent Mary.
Wasn't it different?
I know who it is. I know their name. Hold up.
Their actual names?
Erica Campbell and Tina Campbell.
Yeah,
that's correct. Erica and Tina Campbell, and they are Mary. That's their group. Someone said it's the God in me. I gave you guys that one. This one, I don't know if y'all will even know who either of these girls are.
I know that she's on the Ricky Smiley show.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I didn't know they were sisters. I know one of them is
I feel like most people didn't know they were sisters. I only found out they were sisters like a few years ago.
I don't know who this is.
I know one of them from like being on like sitcoms, I think. And then
I don't know if she's on sitcoms. She was in the movies. Definitely.
Movie. You know what? Yeah, you're right. But but I know that I've seen her on the Ricky Smiley show, which she was talking with I would see her work with Portia Williams too.
So that they are the Brat and Lisa Ray.
Wow.
Also known as Diamond, but y'all don't probably know that movie reference.
No. Okay.
Yeah. Y'all are old enough to watch it now, but it's not. Y'all were too young to watch it for most
then
until very recently. Mary said she just found out tonight that they're sisters. Yep, they are sisters. Veronica's right. Ella, are you laughing at my Diamond reference, Veronica? And I know y'all don't. At least one of y'all don't know these.
I know Leisha.
I know, but I don't know the other one. I did not know that person existed until today. Like, what?
Yeah.
We talked about this on Easter.
Can we?
Cool.
That's how I know.
Or
huh?
You wanted to answer, or you wanted to wait a second?
Y'all can answer. I think the people watching will know who these people are.
Janet and Latoya Jackson.
Yes.
Latoya. That's a debut to me. Latoya.
I threw this in because on Easter you were Ambria, you were like, wait, there's another one?
Yeah. I didn't know there was another sister.
Yeah, she's older.
Wow. So what does she do?
I don't know what she does now, but she tried to have an album at some point in the 80s.
I know that she's had done something.
I mean, they're so rich as a family. I don't think she has to do anything. So I don't know.
She was on
not in the public eye.
RuPaul's Drag Race. I know she was the guest.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can tell she's into fashion.
Yeah.
I don't watch that show. I've never seen it, so I didn't know she was on there.
They're
all right, well,
beautiful.
good for her finding a way to be relevant on her own accord.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, that's the end of our game. Hope that was fun. So we are all winners tonight. So we're winding down the show. I've loved having you guys on. You've done a great job tonight. I'm so proud of you. I'm always proud of you, but definitely proud of you tonight. It's been good to hear your perspective and your voice on these like important topics. I think these are things that are important to talk about and think about because life is busy and we get very caught up. While it's important to be mindful and be in the present, sometimes we do get so caught up in the present that we kind of forget to even think about some of these kind of bigger picture things. So I've enjoyed your voice. So I always end with the same two questions for everybody, and it's really a kind of a nod back to the Chasing Joy brand. I used to do a quarterly newsletter up until a couple years ago, very similar to the show. I would do, but it would be a written interview with people who I thought could give an interesting perspective on happiness. And I always ended the newsletter with the same two questions, and that's the same two questions that I end our show with. So tell us, what is the last movie that you saw and the last trip that you went on? And I know we're still in a pandemic, so you can use the definition of trip as broadly as you like. Somebody said their last trip was to CVS on the previous episode. So however you want to define trip is fine with me. So the last movie you went on and the last trip.
Like the last movie we watched together.
Yeah, the last
was
like a full movie.
However you want to define it. The last movie that
we watched it together.
Well, she forced me to watch Hamilton.
I didn't force her to do anything.
She forced me to watch. I did not want to watch Hamilton.
We watched Hamilton together
against my will.
Good. It's on Disney Plus. I recommend everybody watch it.
Hamilton is amazing.
So that was Hamilton is amazing. She just forced me to watch it. It's the only thing she'll watch nowadays.
I love it.
But that was the last movie I watched. But the last trip I went to, I don't want to say like Rite Aid. And aside from campus, I define trip as in like a trip. Last trip I went to was a trip to New Jersey with my family. Like I think from like right before quarantine, I think. So yeah.
I went to Atlantic City the day before my birthday, which was May 5th, was my birthday. But yeah, that's where I went. Before that was New York, like when New York Fashion Week. It was like before quarantine. But I just recently went to Atlantic City. So it was fun.
Nice. Okay, ladies. So before we end, do you want to share where people can keep up with you online, or about any upcoming projects, or anything about your brand, anything at all you want to share?
I am I currently am having my hair page under construction. So I'm going to be working on hair and makeup again this summer, until I go back on campus in August. So in the meantime, I'm going to be working on having hair and makeup clients. So they can find my Instagram page at Slay by Shanarose, which is my first name. I probably should write it down somewhere, but it's literally Slay by Shanarose, like SLAY by Shanarose on Instagram.
Awesome. I am launching a podcast, a book soon that I was planning on writing. Well, I've been writing for a while. An affirmations book that I will be launching soon. And I have a Patreon, which is at Ambria Hartie. I also just recently hit like 120K followers on TikTok. If you'd like to follow me, thank you. Ambria Hartie.
The new 20K.
Yeah, it's crazy. That came in like a day. One of my videos blew up. It was really cool. And my YouTube, just gonna hit 400 subscribers soon. So just subscribe to me there. It's also Ambria Hartie. I also have an Instagram at Ambria Hartie. So these are things that I'm just continuously trying to grow. And I would say my brand is helping people to reach their highest potential in life. So if you'd like to do that, definitely check me out.
Ladies, you can send me those links and so all that stuff, and I will share it in the group, and then I will share it on when this episode goes live on YouTube as well. Just looking to see if we have any last comments or thoughts from our audience before we close out. Janice said the game was fun, and she thought that Joe made all y'all watch Hamilton.
Yes, he did.
Anya says Matilda was the last movie that she watched, and her last trip was to Virginia to see her grandmother. I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember what the last movie I watched was. I watched something. I don't remember.
Right.
And my last trip was probably Maryland. I don't think I've been visited family in Maryland. Shane says it was fun. He's talking about Joe making y'all watch Hamilton. He said it was fun and it was fun.
Joe's the biggest fan of Hamilton. We're really just the background characters at this point.
Yes.
Our little brother is Joe, by the way.
And Marilyn just gave a whoop whoop. All right, ladies, thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks everyone for watching. And I will see you all next Saturday for the next episode of the Chasing Joy Show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.